I like video games. You like video games. Unless you don't like video games. In which case, I still like video games. Today, I'm going to play a video game that I've never played before, and then nitpick it to death. Welcome to New Game Fuss. So, I had some PTO this week, and I used it to play some games. Had been a great week for games for me. I finally finished Uncharted 3. I didn't like it. I finally gave up on Ico. Ico? I didn't like it. I tried Shadow of the Colossus. I played it for less than an hour before removing the disc from my PS3, putting it back in its box, and filing it on my shelf where I will never play it again because I didn't like it. So today, I'm gonna play Red Dead Redemption. I hear it's good. Of course, I heard the same thing about Shadow of the Colossus, and I didn't like that one. But I mean, Red Dead Redemption already has a lot going for it. For example, it actually has an instruction manual included with the game. How amazing is that? You don't see that very often. It's an instruction. I miss these. It also comes with a poster of I don't know who this is. I'm sure they're important, and I'll know who that is once I play the game, but as of right now, I've got a poster of this person. Hi, person. On the reverse side is a map of the... Well, I'm assuming the game world, and it's got different cities and different... And there's a horse right up here, and there's treasure and all kinds of neat stuff. So that's something I'll probably never use. I would assume there's an in-game map, but you know, I miss stuff like this. It's cool. I remember Dragon Quest 3 or 4 or something like that had a big included foldout that had all the spells and the monsters and all kinds of great stuff on it. So, you know, companies don't do this much anymore. And granted, this game is from 2010 or something like that, so this was a while ago, but I still appreciate it. Now, as many of you, I'm recording this on December 6th. Is it 6th? Yeah, 6th. Sunday. I gotta work tomorrow. So December 6th, still working on getting my new PC, which means that there's going to be no footage from the game because I can't record it anyway. So, hopefully I'll be able to describe what happens. I'm looking forward to playing this because I have no PC right now. I haven't been able to play Trails in the Sky, a game I've been playing for a couple of months, and I was kind of in the mood for an RPG. I would like to play Trails, but I can't right now. And Red Dead Redemption looks like a RPG-ish. I mean, it's got, I read the instruction booklet, and apparently there's, you know, people to talk to and towns to visit and quests to go on, and it looks like there's a lot of things to do. There's gambling, and you can hunt animals, and you can hunt bounties, and aforementioned quests, so, and you can redeem some dead reds, which is important. So, yeah. And I played Gun, which was an Activision game from before this one, which I really liked. So I'm sure I have high hopes for this one. So I'm gonna play it for a little while and let you know what I think. It's all right. That's fine. It's okay so far. I played it for 2.5 hours, and yeah, I'm gonna keep playing it. It's fun so far. It hasn't really grabbed me. Like, I'm done for the night. It's only 7:30, um, and I'm just kind of done for right now. Uh, I, Maybe it just takes a little while to get going, but I was kind of feeling that it would be one of those games like I just played Sleeping Dogs recently, the Yakuza games. For me, those are games that are really hard to put down because there's always just one more thing to go get or one more thing to do or "Oh, let me just do this one thing," and you go do the one thing and then there's another thing right next to it. It's like, oh, okay, let me take care of this one thing and then I'll turn it off for the night, and then it's 5 in the morning. 2.5 hours into this game, I'm not feeling that, but I'm enjoying it so far. The poster girl is Miss McFarlane. She's in the game. She has a ranch. And she found your dumbass with a bullet in your gut, and she spent $15 to fix you. So she's nice. Looks like Arizona. I appreciate that the game is not. What did I play recently that just desaturated all color? I just sucked the bloody life out of the game. It was almost black and. Oh, Shadow of the Colossus. Just a visually dull ass game. This one, even though it takes place out in the desert, an aesthetic that I don't like, probably because that's where I grew up. I grew up in Arizona. A lot of dirt and cactus. So I know a lot of people really like that look. I've seen people who will decorate their yards like that with all kinds of river rock and a saguaro cactus and a bleached cow skull. And it's just not an aesthetic that I like. I think it's ugly. But I grew up with it, and it was really miserably hot the entire time, so maybe that's why I don't like it. What I'm getting at is, even though the landscape is not one that I'm particularly partial to, it's presented well. It's a rather lovely vistas after they pop into existence. But PS3 game, it's a pretty big landscape. We are asking a lot, so we can excuse mountains and buildings and Joshua trees and stuff from popping into existence. The game looks like it might have a bit of the open world issue where it's a big, open, mostly empty space where there's just a lot of downtime between areas. The game's handling it pretty well so far because usually when it asks you to go to another area, you're riding on horseback with somebody and they're chatting at you. So you have someone to talk to and listen to, and you get some story and color and character. So that's nice. And so you start at Miss McFarlane's ranch, and then you ride with someone down. Actually, no, you don't. I'm lying. So you start in Armadillo, and then you have to ride up to Fort Mercer or something, and a guy rides with you, and that's great. Well, when you get to a place, you can fast travel there. So if you don't want to... So when I was at Miss McFarlane's farm, and I had to go back to Armadillo, I could have just warped there instead of riding my horse. But I rode the horse just to see if there'd any interesting things would happen, or if there'd be anything to look at along the way. No. Nope. No, it's just a big open empty desert. Not to say that there isn't stuff to do. There is. It's just sometimes you will have to cross big open empty expanses of desert to get there. So, I've been to 2 or 3 little towns. There's usually a general store and sometimes a gunsmith, and in Armadillo there's you can play poker, and that's cool. And you can play Five Finger Fillet, which is the put your hand on the table and stab a knife between your fingers and try not to cut yourself. It's a stupid game. But I mean, it's a video game, so I don't have to worry about my precious little digits. I won, yay! Minigame's fun. It's basically it's kind of like Simon Says, because it puts the like the X and circle buttons between your fingers, and the how you am I doing that? Okay, so you go outside the hand between the thumb and forefinger, outside the hand between the forefinger and middle finger, and like that. So if if you have X out here and circle, 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 you go X, circle, X, circle, X, circle, X, circle, and you can see how that might get more complicated. X, circle, X, square, X, circle, X, square, or something like that. So the more you bet on it, the more complicated it gets, and you have to keep up speed because you can't go slow at Five Finger Fillet. That would just be boring. You can order a drink at the bar. I don't know why, but you can. I wish I was recording footage because I saw some funny glitches. Like the pianist at the bar, he got up, stood on the piano bench, rotated in place, stepped down, turned around, sat his ass back on the bench, and continued playing the piano. I don't know what that was about, but it was pretty funny. Some of the animations are good, some of them are not. I was the podcast I recorded yesterday. I was talking about Jeffrey, or whatever the main character in Shadow of the Colossus is. His run animation is really weird. Mr. Marsden, the protagonist of Red Dead Redemption, it's a technically better run cycle, but it's really funny because it looks like he has to poop. When what the hell is it? John, I think his name is John Marsden. When you start slamming on the X button to get him to sprint, he kind of waddles like he's trying not to poop his pants. This is where I'd be showing you footage of that if I had a PC to record it. So that's funny. Some of the camera work is bad. Occasionally, usually the camera becomes a problem if you're on a horse and you try to ride towards the camera. The game really doesn't like that. It also really doesn't like that if you're in cover and you try to walk towards the camera. Doesn't like that either. The camera starts freaking out. Not great when people are shooting at you. Other than that, the gunplay is pretty good. It's fun. It's really easy so far, but early game yet. I mean, there's cover, but you don't really have to take it. I mean, you would have to just stand there and let them shoot you for a while before you die. I imagine that gets more difficult later. It's early game. It's still tutorializing. Although it did completely forget to tell me what button is duck behind an object while people are shooting at my face. Pretty good tutorials overall, but they forgot that one. It's R1. In case you were trying to play. It's in the instruction manual. Thank goodness for instruction manuals. There are bounties. There's a bounty poster on the wall. It's like dead or alive, except it's much more profitable. You earn twice as much money if you bring him in alive and kicking. I'm like, great, I'll bring him in alive. I like being a good person. I don't know how to bring him in alive. I shot him in the leg. I figured he'd be like, okay, I'm done. No. Shot him in the other leg. No, no, he's on his knees. He's still shooting at me. So I equipped my fists and I kept punching him. Actually, it wasn't punching because every time I walked up to him and hit the attack button, John Marsden just kind of pushed him over. And I did that for like a solid 2 minutes, and then I shot him in the face. And he died. Well, actually, I didn't shoot him in the face. I tried shooting another extremity, and I think he died after a while. Makes sense. I did shoot him a bunch, and he was bleeding a bit. And I did keep pushing him over. I would have liked to take him in alive. I don't know how to do that, though. I was trying not to kill him, but maybe the tutorial missed another thing. The part of the game where it's tutorializing the combat, it did say you can take him dead or alive. I'm like, great. So I shot the guy in the leg and he was done. I'm like, great. Maybe some people are just going to put up a fight to the end and just, you can't take them alive. Okay. The poker mini game was fun, but it's way too slow. I appreciate the fact that it mitigates that by allowing you to skip directly to your turn. Even so, it is paced surprisingly slowly. I don't know why it's paced so damn slow. Again, not a problem because you can skip right to your turn, but why is it that slow? There was a quest out in the middle of nowhere. There was a guy out there, and he yelled something at me that I didn't quite catch, and the little prompt says, "Start fetch quest." Okay, and then he goes, "Ready, set, go!" and he runs off. I'm like, "What are we doing?" And in the upper left-hand corner it says, "You need to collect 2 herbs and make it back to camp before he does." And the map was suddenly littered with little plant icons. So I grabbed 2 of them and came back and beat them. So that was kind of weird. You'd think that would have a bit of a setup. Saw a rattlesnake. Shot it. Actually, kept walking on it to see if it would do anything. Nah, it doesn't. So I shot it to see if anything would happen, and it dies, and you can skin it, and you get a rattlesnake skin, and you leave a skinless snake on the floor. Looks like a big old worm. I'm like, that's good eating. You just gonna leave it there? Okay. Shot an armadillo, too. You actually do take armadillo meat, even though you get a skinless, pinky-looking armadillo laying on the ground. And you get the carapace. What else? The sound balance in the game is really, really, really bad. Most of the time, the NPCs are loud. Whatever they're doing, you could be in a cutscene and there might be an NPC the house over where his idle animation is hammering a nail into a piece of wood, like maybe he's fixing his home's window frame or something. So you're in this cutscene and you hear whack, 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 whack. It's like, shit. The sound balance, that is throughout my entire playthrough. The sound balance is so bad. Like, all of the incidental sound effects are like turned up to 11. All of the NPC dialogue, none of which is convincing or good. Oh, something a lot of the dialogue is racist, sexist, and ableist. And that's just in 2.5 hours, so there may be some more ists. Doesn't seem to be any reason for it other than flavor. You know, kind of a, well, them's the way it was. I don't care. That doesn't make for a more enjoyable experience to me. I think the game would have been just fine without it. Because so far it hasn't it's not so far. The ists have not been a part of the narrative, or been important to the story, or really informed the characters, other than, well, this person's a bit of a bigot. So yeah, I mean, it's not a. The game is not teaching history, so I think it's okay to take liberties in more areas than the game already takes liberties. So I did the bounty quest I was talking about, where I couldn't figure out how to take the guy alive. So I'm wandering around out in the as I mentioned, there's just a whole lot of nothing out there for the most part, but it's certainly noisy. I keep hearing people yelling and horses galloping and shots ringing out, and I'm swiveling the camera around. I'm like, there's no one out there. I don't know where all this noise is coming from, because I'm just happily riding across the dusty countryside, and there's gunshots and horse hooves slamming against the ground, and I'm looking around. I don't know where the hell that's coming from. But when I took care of the bounty, after I killed the dude and his other dudes, I was accosted by a bunch of peoples on horses. They just rode up and got in my business. So I shot them. And then the same people, same character models, rode up on me again, got all up in my business, and I shot them too. It looted their bodies, got back on the horse. Same damn group of people comes. I'm like, is the game broken? That happened 5 times. 5 times. Same character models rushed up on me out in the middle of nowhere and accosted me. I'm guessing that's a glitch. I'm thinking that the guy I killed for the bounty, I think he and his gang kept respawning in the same place. I kept having to kill him. I mean, I eventually made it back to town and I got paid, so not a huge deal. There's some neat stuff available for purchase in the general goods store. There's a lucky rabbit's foot, which doubles the amount of loot you get off of enemies. There's maps to treasure and locations and stuff. I haven't bought anything yet, but I've actually got over $300, so I should probably buy some stuff. Buy some. Oh, there's a movie house with a little cartoon that was pretty funny. There's. So again, while I say that it's a open world game and there are stretches of space with little in it, there are a lot of things to do and see in the game. You're just, from my initial impressions, occasionally you're going to have to ride a little ways to get there. Not the worst thing. It seems to have a pretty decent fast travel system, so that seems like it's not going to be too huge a deal. Like, oh, I gotta go all the way back to the farmstead. No, you just warp back there. Not a big deal. So, so overall, enjoyable, but not really grabbing me. At least so far, not a game that's going to keep me up until all hours of the morning. But I'm definitely going to play some more of it. It's about a decade old now. It's a PS3 game, and it's got some technical issues. The camera can be a little wonky in certain circumstances. The tutorial missed at least one step. Some of the intros to the missions are a little unclear. They just kind of start without having what I feel would be a proper introduction. The sound is balanced poorly. The incidental dialogue and sound effect overpowers the main stuff. Your horse stalks you like a puppy. Your horse, which I appreciate. That's much nicer than in Breath of the Wild, because your horse follows you around, which is great. The problem is he's really loud. I'm walking through the desert and I hear clomp, clomp, clomp. I'm like, the hell is that? I turn around, it's my horse following me. I'm like, oh, you're following me. Well, that's good, but could you step a little bit lightly, you several 100-pound animal with iron strapped to your feet or nailed to your foot? I mean, I know I'm asking a lot, but shh, shh. Which is an while it's kind of cute, it's also an odd choice, being that unlike Breath of the Wild, you can whistle for your horse and it will come a running from wherever. So I don't know why it's following you, because it just shows up when you whistle anyway. Just an odd choice. Doesn't really hinder the game at all. Just odd choice. I will compliment it. The horse's pathfinding is aces. I experimented a little bit. I was in a camp with a bunch of, had like 3 tents and a bonfire and a wagon with a bunch of crap on it. So there were a bunch of objects, and I ran away from my horse and whistled for it and kept kind of circling around stuff, just testing the horse's pathfinding, and he was pretty decent at navigating to me wherever I was. So, well done, horse. So far in the game, your character is a complete blank slate. The game has not told you. The instruction booklet tells me why he's there. He's an old gangster who went straight, got a family, and now he's been conscripted by the government to round up his old gang mates, or they'll, I guess, kill his family. None of that's in the game so far. John Marsden is... I don't know if Rockstar really expected you to read the manual, because your character is just kind of an idiot. He starts the game riding up on Fort Mercer, where Bill Willingsworth, or whatever his name is, a big gangster dude. He's like, Bill, I'm here for you. He's like, I'm not going to shoot you, though. He's like, well, I'm going to shoot you if you don't leave. And he's looking up at a big fort, and the people are up on the top, and there's 3 people up there with rifles trained on him. And he decides to draw down on them. That's a bad choice. You don't even have to be there to know that. And indeed, it was a bad choice, because he gets shot in the gut. And then Miss Susan, whatever her name is, she comes and patches him up. Don't know why. Guess she's just really nice. So far, there isn't much of a story or narrative or character to really hang your hat on. But what's there is fun enough. Enough to that I'll probably I'll keep playing. Plan to play it a little more maybe tomorrow night. So yeah, I was hoping for better. I was really hoping for one of those, oh man, this is so fun, one of those, oh, just one more thing kind of game. But I did play it for 2.5 hours, so maybe the further you get in the game, the more the characters open up, the more the narrative opens up, the more interesting things there are to do. Yeah, we'll see. So as I said, it's December 6th. I don't know when I'm going to post this video, because I still have to buy all the components for and build my new PC before I can edit this footage. So it may be January before you see this. I may have beaten the game by now. Well, I'm going to have dinner. Have a good night. Bye.